It usually happens quietly. Maybe it's a Tuesday evening. You're mindlessly scrolling on your phone and you see it. Another engagement, another promotion, someone your exact age casually buying a house or launching a business. And immediately there is this sharp, heavy drop in your stomach. You look at your peers and it feels like they are sprinting down a well-lit paved track while you are still wandering in the woods, trying to figure out which direction is north. They have the clear career path, the stable relationship, the effortless confidence. It's as if, on some random day 10 years ago, everyone else was handed a secret manual for adulthood and you somehow missed the memo. This isn't just mild jealousy, it's a specific psychological trap known as timeline anxiety. Your brain tricks you into a dangerous cognitive distortion, the belief that life has a strict, linear schedule, and you have officially fallen behind. You start measuring your messy, unedited internal reality against the highly curated external highlight reels of everyone else. You watch them hit every socially approved milestone, and an exhausting internal monologue takes over. What is fundamentally wrong with me? Why am I still stuck at the starting line? But here is the most important thing you need to understand about this feeling. The panic, the shame, the certainty that you have missed your window. It is a complete, manufactured illusion. The timeline you are punishing yourself for not following does not actually exist. Today, we are going to tear apart the psychology of feeling behind in life. We are going to look at the invisible forces that programmed your expectations, why your brain is terrified of nonlinear progress, and the hidden truth about why you are not failing. You are just playing an entirely different game. Level 1. That sudden, hollow drop in your stomach when you see a peer announce a major life milestone, a promotion, an engagement, a house, isn't just simple envy. It is the panic of a hidden clock ticking in your ear. We call this feeling behind in life. But feeling behind implies there is a universal racetrack we are all running on. The truth is that anxiety isn't a reflection of your reality. It's cognitive software. It's a ghost timeline that was installed in your mind long before you had the awareness to reject it. Society has engineered a highly rigid, standardized checklist for human existence. It dictates not just what you should want, but the exact timestamp of when you must acquire it. Graduate by 22 with a clear purpose. Lock into an upward career trajectory by 25. Secure the partner, the property, and the polished identity by 30. It operates like a psychological assembly line. And when your life inevitably deviates from this schedule, when you change your mind, hit a wall, or simply need more time to figure out who you are, a profound, quiet sense of inadequacy takes root. Your brain begins to process this imaginary delay as an actual failure of survival. You stop experiencing your life and start grading it, conditioned to view your deeply complex, entirely unique journey as a mistake, simply because it doesn't match a generic, artificial default. Level 2. It starts quietly, long before you ever held a smartphone. At age 6, you were placed in a room and graded on a curve. School didn't just teach you math and history. It taught you a much more dangerous, invisible lesson, that your value is relative. You learned early on that an achievement only truly mattered if you did it faster or better than the kids sitting next to you. Your nervous system was essentially trained to constantly scan the room, looking for your place in the hierarchy. Fast forward a few decades. You take a brain that is already hypersensitized to social rank, and you hand it an infinite scrolling feed. Social media didn't invent comparison, it just industrialized it. What used to be a local competition, being the smartest in a classroom of 30, is now a ruthless global arena. Every time you unlock your screen, your brain runs a brutal, subconscious comparison algorithm in mere milliseconds. You see a post of someone younger than you getting promoted, traveling, or buying a house, and your amygdala processes it almost like a physical threat. You feel a tiny, invisible spike of cortisol, a sudden, quiet, sinking feeling in your chest. You are constantly comparing your unedited behind the scenes, your morning fatigue, your lingering doubts, your messy kitchen with everyone else's opening night. The psychological cost of this is a state of chronic relative deprivation. You could be making genuine progress, healing, and doing everything right in your own universe. But the moment you open that app, your daily victories are instantly neutralized. The constant bombardment of other people's peak experiences creates a cognitive distortion field, making your own perfectly normal, profoundly valid life feel invisible, inadequate, and hopelessly left behind. Level 3. At level 3, comparison stops being just a quiet anxiety in the back of your mind. It becomes the active architect of your life. You stop making choices based on what you actually want and start making them out of pure, unacknowledged panic. This is the stage where people take high-stress jobs they secretly dread just to update their title. It's when you force relationships to the next milestone because the calendar demands it, or lock yourself into financial commitments simply to prove you haven't fallen behind. From the outside, this frantic momentum looks like ambition, but psychologically, it's an avoidance behavior. Your nervous system has started interpreting not keeping up as an existential threat. You are no longer driven by the dopamine of genuine pursuit. You are running on the cortisol of fear. You are in a state of fight or flight, cleverly disguised as a 5-year plan. The tragedy of level 3 is the sheer amount of energy it requires. You end up pouring all your cognitive and emotional resources into maintaining a successful avatar. You effectively become a full-time employee of your own image. And because you are living for the applause of a society that doesn't actually know you, the milestones feel entirely hollow. The applause is for the mask, not for you. Sustaining that illusion isn't just exhausting, it is a guaranteed accelerated path to severe psychological burnout. Level 4. At this stage, the chronic panic of feeling behind starts to lose its grip because you finally realize a harsh truth. You were never actually given your own timeline. From childhood, you were handed a generic template, a standardized sequence of milestones, and told it was the only acceptable way to live. But this template is fundamentally flawed. It assumes a perfectly frictionless existence. It completely ignores entirely different starting conditions, invisible financial or social advantages, nervous system baselines, and unique psychological burdens. When you compare your messy, unedited, exhausting daily reality to someone else's heavily curated narrative, your brain is making a massive cognitive error. You are comparing your turbulent behind-the-scenes footage to their opening night. This false comparison keeps your nervous system trapped in a low-grade state of threat, a constant cortisol hum, whispering that you are running out of time, that you are failing at life. But once you see through it, the game changes. You realize that the standard life path isn't a biological law, it's a collective myth. It is simply an inherited anxiety. When that realization finally locks in, the heavy expectations don't just fade, they shatter. The relief is profoundly physical. You stop trying to catch up to a ghost. And for the first time, you have the psychological space to step back, wipe the board clean, and decide what a successful life actually feels like on the inside rather than what it looks like from the outside. Level 5. At level 5, the illusion of the universal timeline finally shatters. You realize that the chronic gnawing feeling of being behind in life was never a reflection of your actual capability. It was a cognitive trap. Your brain's social tracking system is biologically wired to monitor peer status, but in the modern world, it constantly misfires. It tricks your nervous system into comparing your chaotic, uncertain starting point against the highly curated, late-stage achievements of others. But at this final stage of awareness, that comparison stops triggering a panic response. The ticking clock goes quiet. You stop treating your life like you're frantically trying to catch up to a train that already left the station. Instead, you accept that building a psychologically rich, meaningful life isn't a linear track at all. It's a series of continuous, unmapped experiments. It requires the courage to wander completely off the prescribed social path without experiencing a sudden spike of shame. True progress here means auditing your desires. You stop looking sideways to measure your speed, and you start dismantling the artificial deadlines you inherited from culture, the by 30 and by 40 rules that do nothing but manufacture anxiety. When you finally stop orienting your life around external milestones, you reclaim your internal rhythm. You embrace the highly specific, deeply personal trajectory of your own existence. And in that shift, you unlock a profound, resilient baseline of peace, a quiet power that the endless cycle of comparison could never possibly offer. Ending. There is a quiet, paralyzing terror in feeling like you are falling behind. You watch people sprint past you collecting the milestones, the titles, the perfectly optimized routines. But psychology reveals a brutal irony about the people who seem to be winning. They are often just arriving faster at a life they secretly resent. We assume speed equals success. But when a person is driven primarily by cortisol, status anxiety, and the fear of missing out, they aren't actually choosing a path. They are just fleeing the discomfort of stillness. They become highly efficient at playing a game they never actually wanted to enter. That heavy, dragging feeling you experience, that chronic procrastination or sudden loss of momentum, it isn't always a failure of discipline. Often, it is a brilliant protective mechanism. Your nervous system is staging a silent boycott. It is refusing to spend your finite energy on a race that doesn't belong to you. The ultimate goal is not to cross the finish line first. It is to make absolutely sure you are running on the right track. The moment you step off their timeline, the background anxiety drops. The panic of being late dissolves. You aren't falling behind. You are simply taking the time required to build a psychological foundation that can actually hold the weight of who you really are. You are gathering the exact momentum needed to walk away from their finish line and finally start moving toward yours.